Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well. My name is Ty. I'm a professional Tekken player from Pennsylvania representing Team Paragon. I'm a Bryan main. I've been playing the character for about 7 years. I have a lot of good tournament performances with him, whether that be online tournament wins or offline locals and regionals, or strong performances at majors as well, beating some international players at Combo Breaker, EVO, things like that. I'm excited to bring this guide to you guys today. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to DashFight for more character guides and check out their website for all things FGC. Thank you guys for having me. Let's get started. So we're going to start off just by talking a little bit about Bryan as a character. Bryan has traditionally been a defensive, keep-out, counter-hit based character. He's still that in Tekken 8, but he has a lot of new aggressive options to contest the opponent with as well. So as I said, typically he is best played at round range 2 with his long range moves like 3+4, back 1. These are both counter hit launchers that do massive damage, have huge range, and are just really scary for the opponent to deal with in general. He's a really hard character to contest at mid-range, which makes him a really good defensive pick, as he's also good at whip punishing with his really good whip punishers like quarter circle back 2-4, forward 4-1, or jet uppercut, forward back 2. So his whip punishment is great, his keep out is great, he has great counter hit tools like we talked about, 3+4, back 1, forward 3, a really great up close counter hit button as well. But generally he's a very flexible character. He also has a lot of strong pokes that he can use up close, like down forward 2, down forward 1, and his low pokes are also fantastic with down back 3 and down forward. He also has one of the best power lows in the game with quarter circle back 3. This low does a lot of damage, has a lot of range, tracks really well, +5 on hit. Overall, it's just a really good low. Bryan's pokes are very unique in the sense that they all have counter hit launching strings attached to them. So down forward 2 and down 2 are the two biggest examples, as down forward 2 as your 13 frame mid poke also has down forward 2-3, which is a counter hit launcher if the second hit counter hits. Same thing with down 2-3. The 3 is a counter hit launcher. So as we talked about, he has a lot of scary counter hit buttons just from standing, but also his strings have a lot of built-in counter hit options in them to stop the opponent from pressing into them. So Bryan is all about good movement, good punishment, good timing, spacing, things like that. He's a great character for people that want to play defensive, people that want to play based on timing reads. Some of Bryan's weaknesses are that his pokes are a bit lacking, considering they are more minus on block than other characters' pokes, but to compensate for that, they do have the counter hit launching extensions. This makes Bryan a little bit difficult, since he can't really enforce a traditional poking game. He has to go a lot more for the reads on the extensions of his strings. His punishment is also not the best from standing, and his pressure game is a little bit weak compared to a lot of the other characters. His heat is also a little bit weak, but he does have a really cool install, which we're going to talk about later. And finally, he's pretty weak to pressure. I'll give you guys some more ideas on how we can counter that later, but that is a brief overview of the character. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Bryan's best moves. First, we'll talk about pokes. So first thing we have to talk about are, of course, his jabs and his jab strings. So Bryan's one jab is really, really good. It has a lot of range and the extensions are really good. Its good range makes it a really good option for contesting at mid-range while using your other counter hit buttons. And the extensions like 1-2-1, the third hit is a counter hit launcher, 1-2-3 has a low in there to kind of keep the opponent guessing. And then you have 1-2-4, which is a heat engager that's all natural on counter hit, and it also wall splats. So this is a really great option. Other than that, his pokes like down forward 2 and down 2 are really good. Down forward 2 is I-13 and down 2 is I-14. These are going to be your go-to mid pokes to keep the opponent in check. When you're using these pokes, you do want to think about trying to set up the extensions like we talked about with the down 2-3 or the down forward 2-3. Try to think about how you can get your opponent to press into these strings, as that's a really important key factor of Bryan's success, is trying to get your opponent to press into these strings. His down forward 1 is also a really good option, as the entire string is hit confirmable and very delayable. It has 5 hits, so you can keep the opponent guessing all the time with this string. His low pokes are also really good. Down back 3 is your go-to high crushing low. Down 4 is your go-to standing low. Fast, 0 on hit, good spacing on hit. As you can see, it kind of pushes Bryan back, so it kind of sets up that mid-range game that you like to play. And then obviously we also have the hatchet kick, the QC back 3, which +5 on hit, huge range, huge tracking. It's just an amazing low. You should be using it all the time. So when it comes to Bryan's pressure, he has 2 main moves that he typically goes for. The back one is +4 on block, it's a mid, and then the QC back one is +5 on block, and it's a high. The QC back one has really, really good recovery on whiff, and it has a lot of range as well. So this is going to be kind of one of your go-to options at the mid-range. You can see how much range it has here. You also get a free follow-up with either QC back 4 or QCF 1+2 if the move does hit. And like we said, on block it is +5, which makes it a really good option to just kind of keep the opponent stuck and having to play around your offense. Similar to back 1, also plus on block. This is kind of where it ends for Bryan's good plus on block moves. Most of his pressure is going to come from that QC back 3 or using these mid pokes to kind of keep the opponent guessing and just keep your offense going. Punishers, Bryan's standing punishment, like we said, is not the best, but for 10 frames, he has 2 options. He has 1-4, which is 19 damage and +4, and then he also has 2-3. 2-3 is +6 on hit and does 24 damage. 2-3 seems like the better option on paper, but 2-3 doesn't have as much range as 1-4. 1-4 has a lot of range, and 2-3 also pushes them back really far on hit. So even though you are +6, you can't really do very much with it. Down forward 2-1 or up forward 2 are going to be your 13 frame punishers, and then when it comes to your 14 frame, you have jet up or forward back 2, which is your go-to launcher from standing. From crouch, he has a generic wall sitting 4 at I11, he has a wall sitting 3 at I12, and then he has a full crouch down forward 2-1 at I13, which is one of the best 13 frame wall standing punishers in the game. It does a lot of damage, it wall splats, it's amazing. At 15 frames, he has his wall standing launcher, which is wall standing 1, which is a full combo, and then he also has wall standing 2 Fisherman Slam. This is I19, and as you can see, the combo switches sides on hit. So there will be situations where you don't want to do Fisherman Slam wall standing 2 because you don't want to change your wall positioning or things like that. But generally, if you have the option to, wall standing 2 Fisherman Slam does by far the most damage out of any punish that you can get, and you should be trying to land it on hell sweeps, any stagger low, things like that. Bryan's Fisherman Slam wall standing 2 also has a blue spark attached to it, so this is the normal version, and if you time a forward 2 when Bryan is making contact with the opponent, you can get a blue spark. It's a bit hard to do. Usually I like to do forward 2 like this, and it makes it a bit more consistent, but that is the blue spark version of Fisherman Slam, does extra damage. We already went over with punishers, so now we're going to talk about heat moves. So Bryan's heat is a little underwhelming compared to most characters. His heat engagers, the 2 ones that I would say you should be using are 1-2-4 and QCF 1+2. You also have down back 1+2 and FF2, but I don't find too much use in these. Bryan's QCF 1+2 is really, really good. It's a safe on block mid, covers a lot of distance, pretty good tracking, and pretty fast. It's also a wall splat, and it becomes a launcher if you heat dash it in heat. 1-2-4, like we said earlier, this is going to kind of be your go-to 10 frame, I want to mash, I want to get out of this situation kind of counter hit button. But since it recovers life back like any other heat engager, it's a really good option to get out of bad situations. We already went pretty in depth on Bryan's offense and how to set it up, using plus frame moves like QC back 1, QC back 3, things like that, and then the low pokes like down 4 and down back 3. The really important thing that I really want to reiterate on with the poking is that when it comes to Bryan's poking game with, for instance, his down 4-2 or his down 2, you really want to get a good understanding of how your opponent is reacting to these pokes. If you're a new player, this might be difficult, but this is one of the really key things when it comes to playing Bryan, especially when, you know, these moves like down 4-2-3 and down 2-3, the second hits are unsafe. You're putting yourself at risk by using them, so you want to use them on a read. It's really important when you're playing offense with Bryan that you give your opponent a reason to press onto your down 4-2 or your down 2. So even though these are not traditional mid pokes and you don't have as much leeway as you might with other ones, you have to get creative afterwards if your opponent is respecting the second hit. So for example, you know, I like to do down 4-2 into, you know, a hatchet kick, or down 4-2 into down back 3, or down 2 into jabs, or things like that, right? Don't only focus on the second hit, try to focus more on how you can set the second hit up. Now we're kind of going to segue into Bryan's defense, which, like I said, is a bit lackluster compared to a lot of characters. He doesn't have a good power crush. His power crush is forward 1+2. It's pretty bad. Mainly with Bryan, you're going to have to use movement to get your way out of bad situations, or just mashing. Like I said, Bryan is a really good character when it comes to mashing, either with like 1-2-4 or, you know, even 1-2-1. 1-2-1 is also all natural on counter hit. If you don't want to you know, risk doing the 1-2-4 because the third hit is a high, the 1-2-1 is also all natural on counter hit, so it's a really good 10 frame button to mash with as well. Like I said, movement is typically going to be your best option. You have orbital, which is, you know, a safe low crushing launcher. You also have up forward 3+4, which is a safe low crush that gives you the Snake Eyes install on hit. These are two pretty good options as well, but when it comes to defensive options, Bryan is pretty lacking for the most part. He also has, like we talked about earlier, the forward 1+2, which is kind of like a pseudo parry, which can have some uses, but in terms of panic moves, he doesn't really have that many. One that I do want to talk about, though, is Mach Kick. Mach Kick is a good panic move because it actually has a built-in sidestep left in it. So this is really interesting because this move is actually pretty evasive. As you can see, when Bryan does it, he does do a sidestep left. And this can actually be really useful, especially against characters like Mishimas, who you're typically going to want to sidestep left against. Even if you're at minus frames, you can actually do Mach Kick and you will make a lot of follow-up attacks from the opponent. Not something to do all the time, but just another layer to your defensive game and a panic move that you can use every now and then. Now we're going to talk about combos. We're going to keep these combos simple and easy for you guys. A lot of Bryan's more advanced combos are very, very execution heavy, especially for beginners. So these are just going to be simple combos for you guys to start out with. So the first combo that we're going to show you is off of Jet Upper, forward back 2. The combo is just Jet Upper, forward 1+2, 1, back 3, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. So I'll show you what that looks like. Jet Upper, forward 1+2, jab, back 3, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. The next combo is off of while sending 1. It's going to be while sending 1, back 2, 1, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. Off of orbital, up 4, you're going to want to do up 4, down back 2, jab, back 3, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. Off of forward 4, 1, you're just going to do down back 2, jab, back 2, 1, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. Next, we'll talk about some counter hit combos. First, we're going to do the back 1 combo. The combo is back 1, down back 2, jab, back 2, 1, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. Off of counter hit 3+4, dash, down back 2, jab, back 2, 1, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. Off of forward 3, we're going to do forward 3, sidestep right, down back 2, jab, back 2, 1, forward 2, 4, dash, back 3, forward 2, 1. Off of quarter circle back 1, we're going to do dash, down back 2, jab, back 2, 1, forward 2, 4. If you want to use heat in a combo with Bryan, typically you'll pop it after your tornado. So for example, in our staple Jet Upper combo, and then just end with back 3, forward 1+2 into quarter circle forward 1+2 for the unscaled damage. Another thing you can actually do is if you are near the wall, you can start your wall combo, which is what we're going to talk about next. So for example, a combo could be Jet Upper, forward 1+2, jab, back 3, forward 2, 4, pop heat into back 3, forward 1+2, and into your up forward 2 string instead of the extra QCF 1+2. Bryan's main wall combo is 1+2, 1, up forward 2, 2, 2, 3. And it looks like this. When you have Snake Eyes with Bryan, you get a buffed up version of the up forward 2 string that has more hits, and it looks like this. So if you have Snake Eyes, just replace your wall combo and do the up forward 2 with the extra hits for the extra damage. Since this is for beginners, we're obviously not going to go too in-depth in Bryan's taunt in this video. All you need to know is that Bryan's taunt, his 1+3+4, is an unblockable that gives +16 on hit. So if you do manage to hit the opponent with a taunt, any follow-ups afterwards cannot be blocked up to 16 frames. So this mostly comes in handy after a wall combo. For example, That extra 1-4 at the end of the combo was completely free damage because the opponent tech rolled. Bryan's taunt has a lot of setups, but for now, all you really need to know is that if your opponent is waking up from the wall, taunt is a really good way to get extra damage at the end of your combo. You will have to cut your wall combo short to get the proper wake up situation for your taunt, but if you practice the timing and you do 1+2-1 on its own instead of inputting the up forward 2, you get the right situation to hit the taunt and get the extra damage at the end of your combo. Overall, we talked a lot about Bryan today. Like I said, he is a very good mid-range keep out counter hit character. A lot of counter hit options, really high damage, cool Oki situations with the taunt, great whiff punishment, things like that. He's just a really good all-rounder character. Things he's weak at though are his general pressure, and his weakness to pressure as well is something that kind of holds him back. Overall though, I would recommend Bryan for a patient player who likes to wait for his opportunity, likes creative combos, and unique gameplay. I think Bryan is a really strong character in this game, and I think he's appealing to a lot of newcomers. So hopefully this guide helped you guys out with learning the character, and I'm really glad that DashFight had me on here to kind of give you guys a hand with learning the character. You can also check out all of the things shown in this video in the text version via the link in the description. And if you liked the video, please leave a like or comment below with your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Good luck. I've been Ty. Hopefully you guys have a good time with Bryan. I love him so much. I hope you guys do too. Have a good day.